Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Corporal Kester Fennell of the St. Catherine North Community Safety and Security Branch. And we want to take this opportunity to welcome you one more time to another episode of our Family Empowerment Virtual Discussion. Now, this evening, we will be discussing a topic, or we'll be having a presenter rather, from the National Parenting Support Commission. Now, we've often heard that there is no manual that comes with a child. And whilst that is true, there are agencies and groups available that provide not just information to help us to be good parents or help us to be better parents, but also they provide support to parents and they assist where we may fall short. Now, the National Parenting Support Commission is one such agency, and we have them with us here this evening, and they will be sharing and letting us know what that company is all about, what that organization is all about, and how it is that persons can access the services that they offer. Welcome once again to the Family Empowerment Discussion, and this is where we educate the family. At this time, we are going to ask our Pastor Perkins, Reverend Perkins. He is a detective corporal, and he is also the peer counselor here at the Spanish Town Police Station, and he will open for us in prayer. Sir Perkins, it's over to you.
To God be the glory, great things he has done. Let us pray. Father, we give you thanks. We honor your name for who you are. Because indeed there is none like you. There is no God like Jehovah. You are Jehovah Jireh. You are Jehovah Nissi. You are El Shaddai. You are the God of all plenty. Tonight, oh God, as we are gathered in this fashion, we ask, oh God, for you to be in our midst. We ask you, Almighty God, that everything that will be said and done will be said unto your glory, to your honor. We ask you, oh God, that this discussion, oh God, will be enriching. We ask you, Almighty God, for your covering of the hosts, of the guests tonight, Almighty God. We just ask you right now, Father God, that you will speak through your people. Have thine own sweet divine way. As I put this platform before you this evening, Almighty God, as I put your people in your hands, and we ask you, oh God, for an enriching evening. In your mighty, awesome, and wonderful name we pray. Amen and amen. Back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Amen and amen. Thank you so much, Detective Corporal Perkins there. And ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, and also as a reminder to our regular participants, we are streaming live on YouTube. So if persons are unable to join us here via Zoom, they can access the program live on YouTube right now. And our videos from previous programs are available on YouTube that they can watch, and they'll be able to benefit from those information, and they will also be able to share. We also ask that you like and share, as also subscribe to our page so that we can have a growth in our following, and we can get the information that is shared on this program out to more persons. So we are just encouraging everyone, please, to go on our YouTube page, and you can access that at CSS North 83. That is CSS North 83 on YouTube. You can like, share, and subscribe to our page. Now, this evening, we have with us on this platform our new commanding officer. Yes, we have a new commanding officer here in the St. Catherine North Division. He is Senior Superintendent Hopton Nicholson. And this evening, we're going to ask Superintendent Nicholson to just come on to say hello and bring some greetings to you, our participants on this platform. Superintendent Nicholson, are you on, sir?
Yes, good evening. Good evening, Mr. Fenner. Good evening, Mr.
Good
Chairman.
evening
Good
to you,
evening
sir.
to all on this platform. I'm actually on the road, but I try to make it an opportunity to be on this, my first family empowerment session that the St. Catherine North Division has been um, displaying or sharing. I just want to greet each and everyone here And I am happy that an initiative such as this is in place, where the first institution in anyone's life, which is a family, is being focused on from different angles. If you understand so many of the situations where persons, especially where the family breakdown leads to social disorder or behavioral problems, especially in our young boys. And the researchers will tell you that most of the crimes committed in this country are really young males between age 14 to 26. So empowerment sessions like these can only help those who help to guide, those who mentor, those who help to mold the young ones, or to help the members of the family to know each and every role to play, so we can foster better relationships with our family members, and by extension our community, our school, our church, and our country. I endorse this event. I think it is an excellent initiative, and I hope that the information is not confined to only the members who are here, but they will share it with others. There are a lot of social issues. There are a lot of things in life. If we just come together, it may make it a little bit better. There are so many individuals out there who requires assistance, but they don't know that they require assistance. And because we are sometimes in our own little world by ourselves, we do not know that they require the assistance. So as you enter into this one, focusing on the parenting commission, I hope the experts will just impart enough so that persons will understand from whence we came and what we are up about. The 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 role in fostering healthy parenting practices, and a lot of things. They have some junior ones at the primary school level. You'll be surprised to hear some of the things that comes out of their mouth. There are senior ones at the secondary level. They tend to mimic the things that they see and the way they are socialized. So the values and the ethics that they are taught, we understand that the parents should play a very important role. A lot of the parents, they leave it up to the teachers to be taught the values of life. But I'm hoping that persons will understand that each parent has a God-given right to protect and prepare for and preserve the sanity and help to mold the behavior of their children. So I just want to thank you for this initiative. I hope that it will grow from strength to strength, and that the communities, the various communities, will be better off because of the empowerment of families, and the institutions such as schools, church, and community will also be better off because of these empowerment sessions, and that by extension, our work as a police will be made easier because persons have understood that it is time that we should all come together so we can be better parents, whether we are biological parents or not. Thank you for having me, and I hope you have a very good evening.
Thank you so very much, Superintendent Hopton Nicholson there, ladies and gentlemen, the new commanding officer for the St. Catherine North Division. And we are most certainly happy to have you on board with us, sir. And we look forward to the work that we'll be doing together. And I'm sure that in time, you will be once again addressing the persons on our platform. So thank you again, Superintendent Nicholson. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you, please, if you could just change your name, if you could rename yourselves. We're seeing on it where there are several different devices and probably nicknames. We're asking, just for the purpose of this program, if persons could use their first and last names, right? We have our representative here from the National Parenting Support Commission, Miss Ashley Phillips. Now, Ms. Ashley Phillips is a social worker in the Parent Support and Behavior Change Division at the National Parenting Support Commission. Ms. Phillips holds an interdisciplinary honors degree in psychology neuroscience, and ethnic studies, alongside certification in data management and conversation facilitation. She is a trained behavioral health professional with 9 years of teaching, research, and clinical experience. Her unique combinations of study and work allow her to scientifically and socially explore intersections among behavior, the mind, and society. Ms. Phillips has educated adults and children from all over the world who have different first languages, diverse educational and research interests, and a wide range of learning styles and speeds. In 2018, Lawrence University bestowed Miss Ashley Phillips with the Edwin H. Olson in Human Services Award for showing outstanding efforts in psychology and having the potential to make significant contribution to mental health. So, ladies and gentlemen, our presenter this evening is one that is well-versed, she is well-learned, and she is extremely experienced in her field. And we have Miss Ashley Phillips on with us here, and she is from the National Parenting Support Commission. And she will be presenting to us this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a discussion, and I'm going to ask that persons be able to share their questions in the chat if they do have any, or whilst the presentation is going on, you can make notes of your questions. There will be a section where you'll be allowed to ask those questions and have them answered. I do hope that persons are ready to receive what she is about to deliver to us this evening. Without further ado, Miss Phillips, it's over to you.
Thank you, Corporal Fennell. Good evening, everyone. I'm blessed to be here. Thank you for turning up tonight. It shows that you have an interest and keen interest in effective parenting. Tonight, I am going to sensitize you, speak to you about the NPSC, the National Parenting Support Commission, and the programs and services that we offer. So please allow me to share this presentation to do so. As you have heard, I am Ashley Phillips, social worker from the National Parenting Support Commission.
Ms. Phillips, just 1 second, please.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am not sure if we have reached our quota of persons for the Zoom platform, but just in case you know of persons who want to join the program, if they're having difficulty getting on to Zoom, please ask them to join via YouTube. And once again, the handle is CSS North 83, that's CSS North 83 for YouTube, just in case they're having challenges getting onto Zoom. All right, so thank you so much, and back to you, Ms. Phillips.
Yes. I am Ashley Phillips, social worker from the National Parenting Support Commission, or NPSC for short. The National Parenting Support Commission, or NPSC, is an agency of the Ministry of Education and Youth. The agency was established by an Act of Parliament, the National Parenting Support Commission Act of 2012. The agency is mandated to implement the National Parenting Support Policy to increase parental involvement in the education system. The policy is implemented through parenting programs designed for schools and communities that seek to build the relationship between school and home. Simply, the NPSC is mandated to educate and support parents. Whereas we may collaborate with the National Parent Teachers Association, they are a voluntary organization, while the NPSC is a government agency which coordinates parenting education and support across Jamaica. As the government agency coordinating parenting education and support for Jamaica, the NPSC has 4 primary services. They are counseling and psychosocial support, parenting education, coordination for parenting support, and course accreditation. I will go through our services and answer questions regarding each of them. Questions will be accommodated throughout the session as appropriate and at the end as well. Contact information for the NPSC will also be given at the end of this session. The NPSC offers individual and group counseling to parents across Jamaica. Regardless of a parent's gender, education level, religion, or political affiliation, the NPSC offers counseling and psychosocial support to everyone. Counseling is provided by trained social workers who cater to the psychological needs of parents. Psychosocial support is given to individuals and groups depending on the needs of different locales or areas. For example, the NPSC can provide psychosocial support to a grieving parent and also provide the same type of support to a school's parent population when suffering from loss. Counseling is offered face-to-face and via phone, depending on what suits the client. The NPSC office is based in Kingston, but our parenting helpline allows us to arrange counseling for parents in every parish. So it does not matter if a parent is in Hanover, Manchester, or St. Mary. Counseling services can be made easily accessible to them. The numbers for the counseling support helplines, the parent support helplines, will be given at the end of this session. The National Parenting Support Commission coordinates nationally for the delivery of parenting education and training sessions. Based on risk and needs assessments, education sessions are customized for the parenting population. Parenting education sessions are free classes for parents to learn about, internalize, and begin to intentionally practice the discipline of effective parenting. As mentioned previously, effective parenting involves a parent's healing and self-development. So, a parenting education session can be delivered on any topic suitable for the needs or development of a particular group of parents. The NPSC frequently delivers sessions on the elements of effective parenting, parental involvement at school, community building, and coping mechanisms. These are just 4 examples of a long list of customizable trainings offered by the Commission. I will speak more about who delivers parenting education sessions when I speak about NPSC programs. Do I have any questions so far? All right. The National Parenting Support Commission coordinates for parenting support in all parishes. If a parent is in need of a service that we do not provide, we connect them to that service. For example, if you are a single mother who wants to be certified in your line of work by heart and you do not know how to start, we can guide you. If you are a father who has children from multiple relationships and you would like to settle on reasonable visitation arrangements for your children through the family court, the NPSC can guide you through that process. If you are a parent of a child with special needs and you do not know if your child is in the right school for them, the NPSC can guide you to the services to assist. If you feel symptoms of mental illness and you are unsure of where to get testing or treatment, the NPSC can help by referring you to the appropriate health services. If the back-to-school period is financially challenging to the point where you have to choose between basic needs, the NPSC can connect you to the Ministry of Labor's Public Assistance Division. If you are having trouble accessing any social service that you need to better your parenting, the NPSC can help. I usually have questions about this section. Does anybody have questions at this time?
Right. Good evening.
Good evening. Can you start by
So,
identifying yourself, please?
yeah, I'm commanding officer, Superintendent Nicholson. I am trying to stay in as long as I can. As I said, I'm on the road, but I just want to be a little bit provocative because of the diverse society in which we are living now. When you say parents, we realize that persons are the recognized parents here are the regular single parents, nuclear as we know it in Jamaica, and also the the single parent, extended family, and the not the ones that we are using are those ones that we when your category for parents. That's what you describe as parents, right?
That is a subset of parents. National Parenting Support Commission, defined by the National Parenting Support Commission Act, defines parents as anyone who cares for children. So the child can be yours biologically or not. We also classify teenage parents as parents. So once you are caring for a child, you are considered a parent.
Right. I figure as much, but if two persons of the same gender claiming to be parents, as much as it's not widely accepted in our society, they are not, I just want to know if they are recognized because of how the things are changing within society. I just wanted clarity from your organization.
Well, I have not come across that particular situation, but what I can say is the NPSC respects and supports everyone regardless of where they are from or their orientation.
Thank you for the clarity.
You're welcome, sir.
Right, Miss Phillips, there is a hand that is raised. Miss Denise Williams, you can unmute your mic and go ahead. Denise Williams Smith.
Hi, good evening. Denise Williams Smith here. I'm happy that you said persons are recognized as parents, and that one of your services that you're able to connect them with the required services. So if there's a 15-year-old whose mother neglects her totally, who is a teenage mother now, and based on the law, she cannot sign on to PA because she will need a guardian and she needs to be over 18. Can you assist her?
We can definitely assist her. That sounds like several agencies are going to need to be involved in that case. But I would love if you could send me a direct message with your first and last name, your telephone number, and your community and parish.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I have
Right.
one question before I ask the end.
Final one from me.
Go ahead, SP Nicholson.
All right. The final one from me. That similar situation that the person Ms. Smith gave a while ago. How is it a part of your assessment to find out if the other agencies such as SOCA have been involved, or you just go straight to the actual parenting aspect of it? Is it a situation where it is a part of your mandate to ensure that like CPFSA and SOCA, because an offense would have been committed for that child to become a parent? So I'm just asking if is a part of your mandate to ensure that the relevant agencies such as SOCA and CPFSA are contacted, even while providing the parenting guidelines or the parenting your services.
Yes, so the National Parenting Support Commission recognizes that we do not provide all services that parents need. So we have partnerships with agencies through the government system in order to help parents with that support. So SISOCA, the Office of the Children's Advocate, HEART, PATH, Restorative Justice, Victim Services Division are just a few agencies that we work with often. We also work with the Community Safety and Security Branch often.
No, yes, I understand the partnership, but I'm asking you if you end up being the person, the other agencies, you get them on board, or you wait. I'm
If
just
it
want to
comes
know if
through
they're part of your
us,
mandate. Yeah, if
if
it comes
the
to your
case comes through
attention
us, as
first.
this one is coming through us,
Yes.
then be up to an officer of the NPSC to ensure that the case is referred to each agency and check in with progress from each agency, if that's what you're
Thank
asking.
you. Thank you. Thank you. That's clear. Thanks.
Okay. You're welcome. All right, so I will be accepting more questions at the end. So please hold them and we're going to move on to the next slide. If your community, church, PTA, or any other place has a parenting group or course, the NPSC reviews documents and activities to ensure that your parenting group is on the right track with the discipline of effective parenting. We invite you to the review process because when other entities support parents, as coordinated by the NPSC, there is an increase in civic engagement, an increase in effective parenting practices in that area, and a reduction in crime in that area. The NPSC has the Parent Mentorship Program, where trained volunteers provide peer-to-peer support for parents. However, we also guide other such groups in ensuring they're offering effective parenting training and activities. So all that means is if you have something parenting going on in your neck of the woods and you want to make sure that you are on track with effective parenting, send it to us. Let us help you, let us guide you, get on board with the National Parenting Support Commission to ensure you're educating others, training others, supporting others in the right way. If this is your case, then you can send me a direct message as well with your first and last name, the organization, contact number, email address. So if you would like your course or your group reviewed by the NPSC to ensure that you're on the track of effective parenting, send me a direct message right here in this chat with your first and last name, your organization, telephone number, email address. Okay. So those are the main NPSC services, and I'd like to move right along to the NPSC programs. The NPSC, through the National Parenting Support Policy, implements parenting programs designed for schools and communities that seek to build the relationship between school and home. The NPSC currently has 3 primary programs. They are the Parent Mentorship Program, the Parent Place Program, and the Stay Connected Program. The Citizen Security Program, Indicator 2, overseen by the NPSC and executed through the Parent Place Program, is a subcomponent of the Government of Jamaica's strategic direction, Plan Secure Jamaica. The program is a multi-agency effort to offer parenting education and empowerment across Jamaica. The Parent Mentorship Program is the NPSC's flagship program. Parent mentors are volunteers who undergo 13 weeks of training in the discipline of effective parenting in order to adequately develop themselves and provide other parents with peer-to-peer support. Training topics include effective parenting, self-reflection, nutrition and physical activity, substance abuse intervention, public speaking, how to do referrals, 21st century parenting, and other topics which train parents on parenting in this day and age. After successfully completing training, mentors are mapped to schools and communities where they support parenting programs and advocate on behalf of the NPSC, and by extension, the Ministry of Education and Youth. Mentors provide peer-to-peer support to parents in 821 schools and 1,500 communities across Jamaica. If you would like to be recruited as a parent mentor, or if you'd like to know more about this program, please comment in the chat, Parent Mentor, as well as your first name, last name, and telephone number. If you are more comfortable sending an SMS, a text message to the parenting helplines, I will provide those numbers after this session. Do I have any questions? I can accept 2 on parent mentorship at this time.
Yes, can I go ahead?
Yes, please identify yourself.
My name is Andrew Smith. I would like for you to just start to expound a little bit more on this whole aspect of parenting mentorship. Give me a little bit more of some of the responsibilities. What would be some of what are the requirements and so on. I know you did say we can actually inbox you and so on, but just for the benefit of those general here, I would like for you to expound a little bit more.
Okay, so parents can approach the NPSC. Let me not say parents, let me say adults. Adults who take care of children can approach the NPSC and say, I would like to be a volunteer in your parent mentorship program. The only requirement is to be of sound mind and good intention. So our program has a diverse population of people. There are persons who are unemployed. There are persons who vend in the market. There are persons who are lawyers, doctors, commissioners of their agencies. So we don't restrict who wants to volunteer as long as you are of sound mind and good intention. And we also don't restrict where you are in Jamaica. Currently, we have 400 parent mentors with 102 just graduated, and we're looking to recruit more for August of this year. So the recruitment process can be done many ways. There are many pathways. There are different agencies, such as the Community Safety and Security Branch, which can recommend parents they find suitable for this program. It can be done by, as I said before, parents approaching the NPSC themselves. It can be done by school principals sending forth recommendations for parents. So any trustworthy agency or any parent who wants to volunteer themselves can recommend a person for recruitment. When you are on the recruitment list, it doesn't mean necessarily that you will become a parent mentor in this cycle, because training is limited to different parishes per training cycle. So for the upcoming training cycle, we have Kingston, we have Manchester, Clarendon, St. Elizabeth, and St. Anne, those 5 parishes. But if you are not in those 5 parishes, it does not mean that you cannot assist with volunteering with the MPSC in some other way before August or during that time. It does not mean as well that you can't be added to the recruitment list for the next cycle. So don't let that limit you for suggesting yourself, recommending yourself to be recruited for this program. As I said, trainees undergo 13 weeks of training in different topics, and that is to first develop themselves. The first topic we go through is self-reflection, and that is the hardest topic. Parents or trainees have to really look inwards at themselves, see where they're strong, where they're weak, and what has been hurting them. They have to work on these things in order to be able to get past them, to manage them, and in order to help other parents who they may come across with similar issues. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think you have. But to be frank with you, I am, very concerned, at some of the possibilities. We know that we have some very weird people around, people with that are perverts, persons who are just deviants in society. But of course, they might speak nicely. They might appear to be, well learned and seem to be come from a good background per se. I'm thinking that there's some rigorous antecedents checks would be done, to ensure that we are getting people who are really sound, as you mentioned, real sound, you know, for
Yes,
them,
there are
such person
several.
to be a part of your program. Because it's a wonderful program. I like the idea, and I think I certainly support it as a justice of the peace. That's what we stand for. We support anything of this nature. But I'm just saying that antecedents check, I really believe that that ought to be very rigorous.
I understand your concern completely. And it is why the NPSC has several rounds of assessment, which includes background checks for each person that we would like to recruit for this program. Also, for the 13 weeks of training, we begin to weed out persons by our own assessment. Each officer at NPSC is a trained behavioral health professional. So we have the tools to be able to say, okay, maybe this person seemed like the right fit, but they are not so right for this program. And if we realize that even after all those checks and all those weeks, that this parent or this person may still be shady, then they will be asked to leave the program.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. So, Ms. Phillips, there are two questions in the chat that I would like for you to respond to. One is from Ms. Valerie Brown, and the other is from Ms. Nardia Clark. And they are asking, Ms. Brown is asking, one, if there's an age limit, and two, Ms. Nardia Clark is asking if there's an application form. There is also a hand raised once you have completed Ms. Sharika Whitelock balancing. You can indicate to her, she can go ahead with her question if you are able to facilitate.
Okay, I'm going to facilitate these three ladies and then move on to the next slide. So answering Ms. Brown, is there an age limit? There is no age limit. We prefer adults. So it starts at 18. We want you to be an adult before we start helping other parents. But there's no limit to the age. We understand and appreciate the knowledge that comes with having older persons educating younger ones. So if you are 70, 80, 90, and you want to apply, please feel free. We appreciate you. And it does not mean that we will have you running up and down if that's not what you want to do. There are parent mentors who prefer to be in Zoso communities, for example, in Mount Salem, that's where we're active right now. They prefer to be on the ground with parents in volatile areas, and they're comfortable with that. And they are trained to do so, and they are protected by the JCF while in that area, and the JDF while in that area. But there are other parent mentors who prefer to go to someone's house, sit on the veranda every 2 weeks, and have a chat and support parents that way. So however you want to volunteer is what we will do. We won't ask you to go beyond your comfort level for your age or whatever else you're not comfortable with. Is there an application form? Yes, there is. Application form is dispersed after you have been selected as a parent mentor recruit. So the first step is to send me a direct message with your name, first and last name, telephone number, and parish, and we will go from there. And you said a hand was raised, Corporal Fennell.
That's correct. So, Ms.
Yes.
Sharika Whitelock balancing, you can unmute your mic and go ahead.
Thank you. And thank you for the presentation. Good evening, everyone. My question is more focusing on mentees. So if I sit on a PTA for a school and I would have identified parents within that particular school community that would need mentorship, they would need a mentor, how can this information be channeled to you in this program?
All right, so I want to give you that specific format. So please send me your information as well via direct message with your first name, last name, telephone number, the name of your school, and the parish it is in. Hello?
Yeah, oh, thank you. I'm actually typing the information in the chat. I thought that I should just put my name, the email address, and the school that PT executive that I'm on. So I'll just leave the information in the chat so you can take it. All right?
Yes. So when those parents are recommended, we will have intake sessions with them. We'll assess them to see what services they're appropriate for. Whereas it might seem that they need mentorship on the surface, it may be that they would benefit from certification by heart in order to improve their parenting. It may be that they would like some support financially from PATH in order to be able to speak calmly to their children. The things on the outside that affect the way we parent are numerous. So there'll be access to see what services they need, and if they want to join the parent mentorship program and are suitable for such, then we'll have them join. If they want to be, if we find it suitable for them to be supported by other peers, then we do that. But if we find that we want to onboard them to our counseling services, then we'll do that as well. There are cases in which the NPSC does not provide counseling, one of which is suicide. So we will refer persons as appropriate to the different agencies and assist them personally. And I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it did. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Okay, so remember there's a question and answer segment at the end. So save your questions and we will move on to the next slide. The Parent Place program is the NPSC's universal access point for parent support. It is a one-stop shop for parents, a place in or near every community, identifiable by its logo and activities. A parent place can be stationary, meaning it can be in one place, or it can be roving, meaning it can move from place to place. Each parent place offers a combination of services, which include parenting education and related material, skills training, psychosocial support, guidance with social service referrals, and facilitation of peer-to-peer support. There are 21 active parent places across Jamaica. A few locations include St. Margaret's Bay in St. Andrew, Mount Salem Primary in St. James, and Yellows Valley Primary in St. Thomas. The NPSC hosts roving parent places where all these services can be offered at different announced locations throughout the year. Earlier this month, we collaborated with the JCF's Domestic Violence Intervention Unit to host a roving parent place at their awareness campaign at the Portmore Mall. While more parent places are being reactivated, the NPSC will continue to host roving parent places in all parishes in order to make parenting resources more accessible for parents everywhere. So there are parent places in St. Catherine that are in the process of being reactivated. But while there are no stationary parent places, we will have roving parent places in the parish. So the parent place is where you can come and get all of NPSC services in one area. The NPSC oversees coordination for Indicator 2 of the Citizen Security Program, which is Parenting Education and Empowerment. This is a multi-agency government project. Under this program, parenting education sessions and trainings are offered by helping service professionals. Helping service professionals include guidance counselors, deans of disciplines, HFLE teachers, pastors, CSSB officers, includes persons who help the community, help the citizenry in a social service agency, in a social service setting. So these persons are trained in their own rights and also trained by the National Parenting Support Commission to offer these services. The discipline of effective parenting is wide. It includes elements of effective parenting, such as nurturance, structure, recognition, empowerment. It includes self-care for you as a parent. It includes looking back at your own traumas and doing everything you can to heal them. It includes upskilling yourself. So with everything that the discipline of effective parenting includes, the range of topics for these parenting education sessions are wide. So on the screen here is just one example of a virtual training that was given on effective parenting. It was at Lionel Town in Clarendon. I'm sorry, it was not virtual, it was in person. So we have these different trainings at different schools, at different communities, at different clinics. And the schools themselves have them. And now we have more churches on board with giving these sessions. So if you at your organization would like to host these sessions, then send me your information and we can guide you through that process. Also, if you are a school or a member of a school, then you should be having these sessions already. And we can speak more if you don't know of your school having these sessions. I'm also the supporting officer for St. Catherine. So if you are in this forum right now as a guidance counselor or school admin, and you want to know more about parenting training, the parenting sessions at your school, please send me a message and we can go from there. So this really pertains to schools, organizations, agencies. If you are on the parenting side, on the receiving side of this, then go to a parenting class. Attend a parenting class, seek it. If you want to know where one is in your area, then reach out to me and I can tell you of the next one. They are face-to-face and they are virtual as well, online as well, such as this one. All right, and the last program I will tell you about tonight is the Stay Connected program. The NPSC has the Stay Connected program, which seeks to increase and maintain parental involvement throughout the high school years through effective parenting training, capacity building, and psychosocial support. Through this program, the NPSC offers intensive parenting education, training, and support. So we look at the different schools that are in need of training for parental involvement to increase. So beginning in grade 7, parents are supported through to grade 11, so 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, with programs and services customized to each group of parents at each school after their needs are assessed. So we assess needs as a group, we assess needs individually, we assess needs with different instruments, and we customize the treatment plan for that school and for those individuals. That's why it's an intensive program. It's not an island-wide thing. There are currently 4 schools that this program is being implemented in. They are Clancarthy in Kingston, Dintill in St. Catherine, Paul Bogle in St. Thomas, and Bustamante High in Clarendon. If you would like to get your high school onto this program, if you feel that your high school has a lot of parents who may be at risk, if you feel that parental involvement in your high school is low, if you feel that there is support needed for the surrounding environment of the community of the high school, then you can send me a message as well. All right. So we are at the end of the information. After this, I'm going to send you a document, and then we're going to have the question and answer segment. So the National Parenting Support Commission The NPSC is located at the Ministry of Education at 37 Arnold Road, Kingston 4. So it's not the one on Hero Circle. It's the one closer to the JDF camp. Our parenting helplines are 560-9272 and 788-5382. They both have 876 area codes. So that is 876-560-9272. That is 876-788-5382. Now, if you are a helping service professional and you would like to deliver a training, if you have been trained by the National Parenting Support Commission and maybe you fell out of the loop and you didn't receive other information, maybe the bulletins sent through the education system have not been forwarded to you, what I'm going to do is attach here, and I will figure it out. Attach here the CSP register. Now, I'd like to reiterate that this is just for persons who were trained by the NPSC, somehow fell off, they lost information, and they would like to register so they can pick up with their schools. So you fall into this area if you're a guidance counselor and you don't know much about the CSP program. That means that we will need to have a little talk. So I promise I will figure out how to send this to you. But the email address is nationalparentingsupport@moey.gov.jm. And you can visit our website. It is under construction, but currently we have information available, especially in regards to, well, let me not say especially. I'd like to highlight the sex and sexuality information there. So you can be more adept in speaking to that with your children, speaking about that with your children. 1 second. Okay, so we can begin the question and answer segments while I figure out how to send that document to those specific persons. So, Mr. Fennell, Corporal Fennell, could you please facilitate the Q&A in an orderly fashion for us?
All right. Thank you so much, Miss Phillips, Miss Ashley Phillips there, providing us with a whole lot of information that we now have to divulge. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are facilitating questions. Some have gone already, but I know that there are other persons who may have questions. I want to also point out for those persons who are on YouTube, if it is that you have a question, you can place it in the YouTube chat and we will be able to also facilitate those questions. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So here now, the floor is open for persons. Please use the raise hand feature, or you can feel free to type your question in the chat and the questions will be addressed. So here's your opportunity for those who didn't already get a chance.
Corporal Fennell?
All right, he is bumped off, but we're working on it.
Okay, well, while he gets back on, let me see if I can.
Am I being heard now?
Yes, you are. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not sure what happened there just now. I got disconnected. Right. So, as I was indicating, if persons have questions, for persons who are on YouTube, if they have questions that they want to ask, they can feel free to type those questions in the YouTube chat, and we'll be able to have those questions addressed right here as well for those persons who are on YouTube. So we're going to ask persons to use the raise hand feature, or they can type their questions in the chat as we delve into our discussion part of our program. And while persons are determining what it is that they want to ask, there is a question that I want to ask Ms. Phillips, and it is in relation to the parent place. Now, I did hear you make mention of persons who were trained by the NSPC, and that, well, NPSC, and you said that there's a form that if they were trained, they can fill out. Now, I recall being trained as one of the mentors for the parent place that is located here in Spanish Town. However, since COVID, that has right. Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me?
Yes, we're hearing you clearly again.
All right, I'm not sure what's happening. It seems we're having some technical difficulties with our internet here, having some connectivity issues. But my question is, I was one of those persons trained to work with a parent place here in Spanish Town. And since 2020, when COVID came out, they have been shut down. So it has not been operating. So the people of Spanish Town have not been able to benefit from the parent place that currently exists here. I'm asking, is there any plan in place for reopening that one?
There is a plan in place to eventually open all parent places. But right now, we're focusing on persons who actively want their parent places reactivated. So now that you have mentioned this to me, we can definitely work together to get that reactivated, because I do agree Spanish Town needs a parent place. You've seen what has been happening in the news recently. So we need to do our part as parents and as social security agents in ensuring that we are educating parents in the discipline of effective parenting.
Right. Thank you so much for that. And as it relates to the parent mentorship program that you have, could you tell us in a little bit more details some of the things that these parents would be asked to do, or these mentors would be asked to do?
Okay. A parent mentor offers peer-to-peer support. They also act on behalf of the NPSC in select situations, and by extension, the Ministry of Education and Youth. So a parent mentor could offer a listening ear and a guiding voice to a parent who is in need of counseling on her or his first child, for example. Parent mentors have gone with staff in ZOSO communities, and this is something we do several times throughout the year to... Hello?
Go ahead, Ashley, go ahead.
Yes. So we go through several communities that might not have heard about the NPSC, and we sensitize them a bit like what I have done tonight on the ground, and sign them up for the different services that they would like, or that they need. A parent mentor could assist by making follow-up calls from roving parent places, because after you go to such a big event, all those persons have to be called back one by one in order to make sure that they are afforded the appropriate services to them. Parent mentors assist in the execution of different events. So if they would like to help us with making sure that parents are supported maybe in a hard class like self-reflection, they can do that and we can equip them to do so. We don't just have strangers doing that. If a parent would like some help, some bravery in the form of a different person advocating for their child, then a parent mentor can assist with that at the school level, at the community level. So those are some examples of parent mentor activities.
All right, thank you so much, Ashley. And if a school, for example, is hosting, for example, say a PTA meeting, or they want to do a parent forum, is this something that the National Parenting Support Commission is open to doing? To being invited to come in, speak, share top tips on some parenting skills?
Yes, that is possible. Currently, I have Waterford Primary on my agenda to do that this Thursday. The NPSC currently has 6 programmatic officers, including the CEO, which makes 7, to serve the entire nation. So as a person per region, the entire country is divided into 7 education regions. And that person supports each region. We coordinate support for the entire region. So if we cannot personally make it to your event, we apologize. There are some events we can make it to, and there are others that we cannot make it to, just because when you are coordinating for parenting for an entire country, you're being pulled in many different directions at once. So you can invite us. I'm going to put in the chat the contact information. So the email address, National Parenting Support Commission. All referrals or requests are submitted to the Chief Executive Officer, the CEO, Ms. Casey Carr. And please have it signed and co-signed by the leader of your organization. So if that's your principal, or if that is your manager, if that is your president, whatever organization you have and you would like to invite us, please send it to that email address, or I'm sorry, it's National Parenting Support Commission. support@moi.gov.jm. So that is the email address. So you can send a referral and we will look at each request and we will advise you on what will happen. The earlier you send them, the better.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Ms. Phillips. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are still accepting questions at this time for persons who may want to jump in on this discussion. You know, you have learned some things about the National Parenting Support Commission this evening. Now, this is not one of those agencies that many persons are familiar with. And you may have some questions, you know, you may even have some personal questions that you may want to ask as a parent. Here's an opportunity for you now to throw that question out there, and Ms. Phillips will address it as best as possible. And whilst that is taking place, I want to ask though, for the Stay Connected program, Ms. Phillips, how do you measure success rate for your programs?
Through behavior change. So if a parent comes in today saying, not knowing much about effective parenting, is not practicing effective parenting, is not being a good great or great parent to their child. And then through the education sessions, through the counseling sessions, through the training sessions, they begin to internalize information. That is a key step. So I can teach, educate all day, but it is up to the parents to internalize that information. So if the parent does that, begins to internalize, begins to practice, begins to day by day and step by step change their behavior to become a more effective parent, then that's how we measure that success. So there are numbers attached to different assessments, different pre-assessments and post-assessments. There's that way, yes. But we measure by, say, for example, a parent is beating their child 10 times a day. For what reason? We find that most times children are running away because of ill treatment, because of abuse, because of lack of attention. And when they return, they end up getting the beating of a lifetime, for example. So if we can educate persons, parents, and why that's happening in their household and get them to use different strategies and techniques, practices to change their behavior, to make their environment and their home more peaceful, then that is the greatest measure of success for the program.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that, Ashley. Are you hearing me?
Yes, hearing you well.
All right, wonderful. All right, so I did hear you mention something earlier that, is something that we have been recognizing is a major issue, especially amongst parents in Jamaica, the issue of beating. And for me personally, it's one of those things where I believe that by the time a child gets to a certain age, there should be a certain level of understanding between the parent and the child where beating becomes, whilst we don't support corporal punishment here in Jamaica, we know that as a means of scolding the child, sometimes parents will administer a few slaps, and certainly not in a manner where it could be constituted as abuse. Now, the question is, I just want to ask you, since you're here on the platform with us, do you have any tips that could be shared with parenting as a means of substituting corporal punishment for other methods that could be used to effectively get their children to conform to certain behaviors or principles that they want to instill in them?
Yes, a few years ago, the NPSC had a campaign, strike a conversation, not the child. Each argument, each conflict starts, or the resolution to each argument, the resolution to each conflict starts with a conversation. And that conversation has to be in calm tones. So whereas our children may upset us, and they are designed to upset us because they are exploring the world, they will make mistakes, we will become upset. It's up to us to, firstly, teach our children the right things to do. Teach them how we want them to behave, whether they're there or not, whether we are there or not. And that includes, and when we're teaching our children, explaining to them why. Explaining to them why makes a huge difference in children conforming to what we want them to do as parents. So if you raise your child in socially appropriate ways and you raise them with love, care, the right health, the right ethics, and you find that this child is still experiencing behavioral issues, then you might want to reach out for professional help. Because if you feel that you have done everything correctly, you cannot understand why this child still won't behave, I advise first reaching out to the guidance counselor. Have them have sessions with the child to see if the behavior can start changing there. Before that, speak to your child. Find out how they are doing. Not just how they're doing in school, how they're doing as a person. Even persons as young as 3 years old have very big emotions. So it's important that while we are parents and we know our children, not to assume what they're going through, but to ask them, open a conversation. So if you do these things, your probability of having to punish your child harshly will be low. It won't be completely eliminated because remember, children are here to test you. They're to explore the world before they grow up. So it's not zero, but the probability of them acting out in a way to embarrass you will be low. So I suggest instead of beating, speaking to your child, seeing if you can solve the problem through a conversation. I then suggest referring your child to professional help, and that starts with the guidance counselor at their school. If the guidance counselor, after some time, you find is not helping your child on that particular issue, then you can reach out to the commission and we can refer you for additional support elsewhere. Instead of beating, well, before it gets to beating, we also encourage structure in homes. So structure begets discipline. So structure is consistent rules and routines in your home. That is rules and routines in your home used all the time. So children should have a bedtime. They should have a time for school. They should have a routine from the weekend to prepare for school. You as a parent should have a routine for yourself to ensure that all these things are being done in their appropriate timeframes. We should have rules for not just making sure everything's in order, but have rules for enjoyment as well. So if you finish your homework early, maybe you can get an extra half an hour of playtime. So there are things that we can consider because it's a give and take with our children. We can't just be asking them to do this, do that, do this, do that. They are small and they don't know much about the world yet, but they are still people. So having the consistent structure, having the consistent rules and routines in your home, we find that it produces less opportunities for indiscipline. We find that with structure, children know when to do things, they know why things are important because we're also explaining to them as you set these rules and instructions. So we suggest all of that before it gets to beating, but instead of beating, try other things like confiscation of their electronic devices. Try taking away a privilege for a certain amount of time if you're spoken repeatedly and children don't listen. So I've been using this word consistently all the time. There is research to suggest that adults take 21 days to develop a new habit. So as fully functioning adults, it takes us 21 days. Imagine how long it takes a child to develop a new habit, and everything is new to them. So we have to be patient with them. We're speaking to them over and over and over and over and realize that this isn't working out. Try something new. Try the timeout. Try, maybe you don't get your favorite dessert this week. Try the softer things and you move up instead of going to just beating. And I want to add, if your child comes to you and tells you something that may be embarrassing to you, that You don't know where they got that from because you did not raise them that way. If your first action is to beat them, that child will most likely not open up to you again. You want, as a parent, for that child to come to you about anything and everything. You want to be in their corner. You want them in their corner, in your corner, for as long as you and them live. Correct? So.
That's true.
So try the softer things, try speaking, try giving them grace, giving patience before you reach to that point. If nothing else works, then call us back and we'll work with you on your particular case and see what else can be done. Because imagine if you didn't do something right at your job or in your home and it's just beating. Like you will wonder what is going on in there, and you'd probably call the police on you.
Right. Thank you so much, Ms. Phillips, for those very useful and practical tips. And as you were listening there, as you were talking rather, and I was here listening, I began to reflect on some of the methods that I practice with my own children. And I was pleasantly surprised to say that most of what you are talking about is what we've been practicing, as also what we have been recommending to parents. Because one of the things that happens here at the Community Safety and Security Branch is that many times parents and schools, when they have issues with children, they are brought to us for us to do some level of intervention with them. And we are up to this afternoon, I had several parents here from various schools with their children that have been giving issues, and we were doing interventions with them. So, I am happy to know that the things that we have been recommending, the things that we have been practicing, are in fact now being purported as best practices. And, that is good to note. I do want to ask this question though, because throughout discussion, one of the things that I have recognized, and I don't know how much attention has been placed on it, and I don't know if from the National Parenting Support Commission, how much emphasis has been placed on this issue. And it is the issue of parents, pregnant mothers, smoking and drinking during their pregnancy, and the effect, the long-term effect that it will have on the child. Because one of the things that we're recognizing now is that there are many children that are exhibiting behaviors that are outside the norm or outside the normal scope for their age group. And when in dialogue and questioning those mothers, it has been indicated that during the pregnancy, they smoked and they drank alcohol. Can you say what level of effect this can have on a child long term?
Well, I would like to preface this by saying that it is not my agency's responsibility to speak on such matters. Even though we are parenting, we are concerned, however. So it affects children greatly. Drinking is absolutely not recommended during your pregnancy by every single medical professional. Drinking will stunt your baby's growth, will stunt your baby on every developmental domain. So your baby will be underdeveloped cognitively, meaning they won't be as bright. Physically, they won't grow to be as strong, maybe socially. They won't be able to get along with others. So there are different ways your baby can be affected. They can also have different syndromes that you will see that are very evident and just looking upon your child. So it is important that we stress if we ever see a pregnant mother drinking, that we don't harass them, but educate them and why that may not be a good idea. We may be cussed out for it, but we have to do a good deed as concerned citizens, as persons who want a safer Jamaica, a healthier Jamaica, and approach that mother and say, hey, I learned this from a social worker from the National Parenting Support Commission. She told me that if you drink when you're pregnant, some things may happen to your baby, like underdevelopment. So you can have that conversation that way. But please, if you ever see that, have the conversation.
Thank you so much, Ashley. And you know, that is something that I believe we need to start looking at on a national level, because I believe that many of our women, pregnant women, and I don't mean to be stereotypical here, but especially within our inner city communities, I've recognized that many of those women during their pregnancies smoke and drink alcohol. And it begs the question, when we see the children from these communities, predominantly children from these communities, the kind of issues that schools experience with them, you know, I am now wondering, how can we make the correlation between the two things? How is it that we can determine whether the smoking and drinking of the mother during pregnancy has been or is the cause of some of the behavioral issues that we see exhibited in these children in these schools, both at the primary and the high school level, as well as the underperformance of these students in school. So, you know, I believe that's something that we can look at from a national level.
Well, it has been researched from a national level, and the results are, as you say, drinking and smoking heavily impact child development in every domain. I address drinking, but I remember in developmental psychology learning specifically about smoking cigarettes during pregnancy, and it can affect your baby's skin, your baby's nails, and your baby's ability to learn throughout their entire lives.
Wow. Wow. So,
So this has already been researched, but it's just up to us as a nation, I guess, to reiterate that the National Parenting Support Commission doesn't have this particular mandate in their act, but we are concerned because these are parents. So, yes.
This sounds like a good opportunity for some collaboration where education is concerned, because the research is already there. And through our own experience, we are recognizing that a lot of these children who have behavioral issues, their mothers during their pregnancy were abusers, substance abusers. Then it means that we now may have to go on an education campaign to get the word out there to see how best we can limit those kind of practices.
Most definitely. And the NPSC would love to support you in that endeavor. The OCA, the Office of the Children's Advocate, the family courts, the CSSB that you are involved in. Who else? And I think also the CPFSA, they are agencies who, and the Ministry of Health and Wellness. So these agencies have different agents who speak to this particular topic. But as it affects parenting, then the NPSC has no reservation in collaborating with the different agencies with the parenting education sessions and skills training, because taking care of your baby is a skill. Effective parenting is a skill, it's a discipline in making sure that these parents are getting the right education to support their children and themselves.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And that is something that we can and will discuss further, looking at for a future collaboration there. Mr. Luwars, your hand has been raised for a while. I'm going to ask you, you can go ahead, unmute your mic and ask your question.
Okay, good afternoon, Corporal Fennell, and good afternoon, Miss Ashley Phillips.
Good afternoon. Good evening.
Yes. Robert Lorzier, PR and the TT executive at Eltham High School and also a prospective justice of the peace. I have experienced something on the road a number of times when I have been on the road doing my work, is that children are having children. And most of the time when these children are in school, they see their mothers doing things that are wrong. And they come up and they follow their parents, and those parents cannot talk to such child. And as a result of that, that child drop out of school because no one can talk to them. So what type of educational system can be put in place for such parents?
All right, so that sounds like something that would take place with more than one agency and over time. That's not something that can be fixed in 1 week. But as I said earlier, it starts with a conversation. Nobody is past the point of development, and no relationship is past the point of fixing if two persons are willing to honestly admit their faults and come together to work together. So frequently in parent and child relationships where the parent was not such a good parent to begin with, you'll find that there is some resentment of the child towards that parent. But it does not mean that the parent can't change their life around. It does not mean that through self-reflection and counseling and parenting training and skills building that the parents can't go to their child and open an honest conversation after an apology and say, I would like to do better. There are parent mentors, parent mentor leaders who have been with us for more than 10 years, and this is their situation. They did not start out as the best parent, but through training and through self-reflection, through counseling, they're able to see that, wow, I need to do a complete 180 here. And they've done it. And their children accept them, their children have forgiven them, and their relationship is a work in progress, and it's on the good side now. It's not just one or two parents. So I don't want to say that those relationships cannot be fixed, and with time, that child would not speak to that parent. So that is the first way, that's a hopeful way. But there are other ways, there are other times that the parent is not consistent with wanting to change, and the child will be more consistent with wanting to see change than the parent. And the child will realize that maybe mommy, daddy, auntie, grandma is not the best influence for me. Your children are smart. They will realize these things, especially because they are socialized, they're in a community, they're in school with other children. Your children will automatically compare themselves. We are social creatures, we will do this. So if they realize that maybe mommy and daddy fighting in front of me and beating each other all the time isn't the best thing, your children will report you. They will report you to school, and then you'll have all these different agencies stepping in. So it's up to you at that point if you want to do better when agencies step in, or if you want to stay where you are. If you stay where you are, then your child will lose respect for you as a parent. And as they turn 18, it's going to be hard to build a relationship with them. It is not impossible, but it will be hard. So does that answer your question, sir?
Yes, it does. But and one final thing, I noticed even sometime at my school when when some of my students are at home and they are giving their parents trouble, and they don't want to listen to their parents. As soon as their parents call me, And I said to the parent, the child is beside you. And she said yes. I said, okay, give the child the phone. And when I talked to the child, and I said to the child, you know what? I'm going to visit the home. And the parent is so happy about that. When I visit the home and I talk to the both of them, the parent tell me that they have no more problem again with such child. So you see, so they listen to me, but I think it is something at the home why they don't want to listen to the parent.
Yeah, so each parent can assess the situation. It becomes with admitting that maybe there's something I need to improve in my parenting. Maybe I should start with me. If I want my child to do better, and I am the example for my child, maybe start with me. So it comes with them maybe accepting that maybe I need professional help from a guidance counselor, from a social worker, from a helping service professional to guide me in making sure my child is on the right path. So thank you for your question, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much, Mr. Luars, and thank you very much for responding to that, Ms. Phillips. There is in the chat posted by Ms. Claudette Bowie. A question was posted earlier, RJ being mentioned and its role. Ms. Bowie, I did check the chat. I'm not seeing that question in there, but if you would like to, you can go ahead, unmute your mic and ask your question so that it can be addressed. Ms. Claudette Bowie. All right, if we're not getting Miss Bowie, we are going to move on. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you have any more questions that you would like to ask. We are winding down, coming down to the close of our program for this evening. So I don't know if there are any additional questions or comments that persons would like to make or ask before we come to the close.
I would like to ask a question.
Go ahead.
Is Michael Brown still here from Waterford High? No.
No response from that person. There is a Jacqueline that has her hand raised, as well as a Miss Erica White.
Okay, Miss Jacqueline, please go ahead.
Or Miss White, rather. Miss Erica White. You can unmute your mic and go ahead.
Pleasant afternoon.
Good evening.
Pleasant evening, sorry. I was asking, is this program on these programs only geared around high schoolers and the primary and high schoolers parents?
Okay, so we support all parents. While the programs are primarily geared around primary high school parents because that is a part of the mandate, it's also a part of our mandate to support parents nationally. So we support parents who have children who are over 25 with intellectual disabilities. We support children who are adults. So, for example, 14-year-old mothers who have babies. So once you are a parent in need of support and we can offer that support, we will support you. There's no limitation. So the programs and services are mainly geared towards those parents, but they're not limited to those parents.
Right. So I hope that answers your question, Miss White.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Wonderful, and thank you so much for your contribution. And now I'm seeing Junior Brown that is now logging on, Miss Phillips. All right, before you get to him though, there is a question in the chat, and I think this is in relation to what I spoke of earlier. The question is, what is the role of restorative justice in this program?
All right, so the Restorative Justice is a Ministry of Justice program.
That's
correct. We are the National Parenting Support Commission. We are under the Ministry of Education and Youth. The restorative justice goes into different communities and sometimes schools to ensure that persons there are resolving conflicts in peaceful ways, to integrate persons from who were previously incarcerated back into regular society. So they help with ensuring that are doing their best, ensuring that conflict does not become elevated or conflict is prevented in certain community situations. The NPSC and the restorative justice are partners in parenting, education, and support. So there are some times that I will refer persons to restorative justice, and restorative justice will refer persons to the NPSC. But please do not confuse. Restorative justice also sometimes trains in the parent mentorship training program. So please don't confuse our two organizations. We're not one and the same, but we do work together.
Wonderful. Thank you for that response, Ms. Phillips. And so, in essence, what you're saying is that there is a collaborative role between restorative justice and the National Parenting Support Commission. So they do support each other in their respective efforts.
Yes.
Okay. All right. There is also another question in the chat from Wisconsin March. Say good evening, everyone. Indeed, this is it's a comment. Oh, it's a comment. She's expressing that it was a very informative session and she enjoyed it. However, unfortunately, she has to go. Thank you so very much for joining, Miss March. And please look out for our program for next month as we continue along the family, educating the family. And next month we know is Child's Month as well as, well, Family Month rather. And Mother's Day is being celebrated next month. And so you can look out for our program for next month. And we look forward to having you join us then as well. Right. There was a comment in the chat earlier that I saw that I want to go back to. Let me see, where is it? All right. And this, I'm not sure who it is, but it says Samsung SMA03. Laws needs to be changed to respond to social, economic, moral, technological issues, etc., based on changes in society. And that, I believe, is something that needs to be looked at and considered more, because many of our laws here, what we recognize is that they are really outdated, and they require being looked at with a view of reforming. And so, we're hoping that in future, the powers that be will make the necessary changes to enforce the laws that need to be enforced and revamp what needs to be revamped. It's about time that some of our laws are repealed and changes are made to keep up with the changes in society, just as you are alluding to. Now, Miss Marshana Daly says, there are some children who are so lazy, they don't want to even straighten their desk. And she's asking for help, and I guess she's a teacher. I don't know, do you have any advice for teachers, Miss Ashley Phillips?
Well, teachers are parents as well. They're parents of their own children, and they take care of so many other children, Monday to Friday and on weekends as well. There are different reasons why students are lazy, or quote unquote lazy. Sometimes they're very tired. Some things are happening at home and we don't know about it. So it's best to investigate, call in the parents, see what's happening, and see why it is that their child is so tired. It could be that the child is on the tablets till 2 in the morning and the parents have no idea because the tablet is locked in the room with the child at night. It could be that there is emotional turmoil at home. Maybe parents are fighting, maybe siblings are fighting too much, and it's having a profound effect on that child. So when they come to school, they can't even lift their head off their desks. could be that that child is hungry. There are many parents who manage the stress well. So you don't know that this child is hungry unless the child says, Miss or Sir, I am hungry. So it's best for us to investigate what is happening at home before we call a child lazy. Also, there are cases where the child is in need of assessment, psychoeducational assessment. Maybe that child has some kind of disorder or disability that maybe is not seen so clearly on the outside. And through assessments, you will know exactly what's going on with that child and how to help them, how to support them. The Michael University, Michael Care offers assessments. They are the most affordable option for assessment. So that means their line is also extremely long. I mean, a year long. A recommendation from the NPSC can move you up that wait list, not get you to the top, nowhere near the top, but it does move you up the wait list a bit. So there are different reasons why a child may be doing that. A child may just be acting out. Maybe they want some attention. Maybe their brain is tired. Maybe they learned a lot today and they're just done. So there are different reasons, but it all starts with investigation before we just say, okay, this child is lazy.
That is absolutely correct, Ms. Phillips. And in many cases we are quick to jump to conclusions rather than try to find out what are the root causes for issues. And a lot of times children are going through some things that we would not even imagine. That's the truth. Some children are undergoing some stressful and traumatic situations that we cannot imagine. And because of that, when they act out, we don't see that this is as a result of what's happening with them at home. We always see is the behavior without understanding the cause of the behavior. And I absolutely agree that it is important for us to try and find out what it is that is happening with these children. What is causing this behavior? And one of the things that I've recognized too, in my experience, is that a lot of these children who are exhibiting antisocial behavior are children that are suffering from some condition, some mental condition, and so it is important for assessments to be done. So, I'm happy that you gave that kind of response, especially for our teachers, and for our parents too, because the truth is that if we going through our days can be stressed out by the things that we have to do throughout our days, children can also get stressed out by the things that they go throughout their days. And that is something that we have to be reminded of. All right. So thank you so very much for that response, Ms. Phillips. I'm seeing some comments in the chat, mostly persons, sharing that they are agreeing with some of the points that are being made, and they are expressing how informative the program is. We thank you for these kind expressions, and we ask that you go to our YouTube page, like, share, and subscribe so that other persons can benefit from the information being shared. And please look out for the links when they are shared so that you can share it with other persons so that they can also join in and be educated. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our program. And it was truly an informative program. I learned so much. I was aware of the National Parenting Support Commission. Ms. Phillips and we have collaborated for parenting forums, and still I was still learning here tonight. And so I know that you have learned a lot. And Ms. Phillips, do you just want to quickly, within about 30 seconds, give some closing comments to the persons on our platform.
I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. There are still 81 of us here and I'm present on YouTube. So it shows that you have interest in effective parenting, interest in developing yourself as a parent, interest in developing your neighbors and your colleagues as more effective parents. So thank you for that interest and thank you for staying. I appreciate that. If you have any questions after tonight, please feel free to reach out to me at the contact numbers and email address provided. And thank you, Corporal Fennell, for hosting tonight's session.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips, for accepting and coming on our program to educate our families here across Jamaica, and especially for those persons here in the St. Catherine North region. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you for joining us month after month on our family empowerment discussion. We want to thank you for sharing the information so that others can be educated. And we ask you to look forward to our next program. Guarantee you it is going to be just as, if not even more, informative. So, month after month, we thank you. This program is for you. I am your host, Corporal Fennell, and this has been Family Empowerment, working this. We educate the family. Have your